what's going on today? Well, we've got a quick little project. One of the Evacuees that I've been doing some repairs for, he's got a crooked power supply and he needs more than about 2 amps at 12 volts. So I found this little old computer power supply that I'm going to try and rig up and put a couple of plugs on for him. So, yeah, what I've done here for a start is I've taken the black and the green wires and separated them out, and with an ATX power supply, if you bridge the green wire to any black, it should fire up. Now let's plug some power in and have a quick look. There is a mains lead off the camera here. Grab a mains IEC lead off to one side here. We'll see if this fires up. So what I've done here, we'll move the camera around. I've plugged my multimeter probes in to one of the floppy drive ports or connectors, and I've set it to the 20 volt range. So let's turn our backlight on, sit this in the camera here. All my workshop is currently in my vehicle at the moment, as you may have seen from the last video, so this is a bit challenging on my desk. Let's fire this up. Well, seem to be a little under voltage here, and the fan is not running. So I guess I'm going to try and put a load on it and see if the fan turns on, if it's a thermal controlled one, and I'll see if we actually come up to voltage with a load. Alright, so I have interconnected to my multimeter a small little LED set up. This doesn't pull a lot of current, but it's enough to test what the voltage is going to do. So I'm going to juggle a bunch of things together, and this one doesn't want to play ball. You can sit off the camera here. We're going to touch these two together, see if we light up. Well, it does light up under a load, so that's looking good. So I think this one's safe to put a plug on. We'll put a couple of plugs on it, we'll clean up the unnecessary wires, and then we'll see what we can do about the fan. So let's get this sorted out. The order of duty, of course, is to remove the screws and turn on some overhead lighting. I had to bring this ice cream container back in. It had all my most useful tools out of my top drawer in it. In fact, I don't even have a magnet on the desk at the moment. Everything is in the vehicle. I am apparently on call to pick up horse feed and deliver it at some point too, so that is going to be fun, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to pay for that with MS symptoms later. Alright, I'm going to pull this board out and I'm going to chop out most of the unnecessary cables from here, and just leave a couple exposed for the 12 volt side. And we will separate our green and black away so we don't cut that. I've already sectioned off a couple of wires that I want to keep. I forget what the purple wire and the grey wire are for in these. So we've got rid of all the 3.3s. Now we've got just these guys remaining. I just want those. There should be enough between them to hook up a few plugs. This is an 8 amp supply, or at least on the 12 volt supply, or 12 volt side of the supply, will supply 8 amps. So I'm planning to give it 2 connections either side, so that lead will do just fine. I've got 2 blacks and 2 yellows, which should be 12 volts. Trim them off. I'm going to pull the rest of these unnecessary leads off the board, and we'll trim them back nice and flush so they don't prevent a short circuit hazard. It's a bit of a hack job, and these two will go to a power switch. In fact, I might even just leave them connected in the case so you can control it by the power switch on the back of the unit. No need for redundant switching. Right. So yeah, I've got to get this board out now, so we'll jump to that. We have the board out, and I discovered there's actually 2 fans in here, which we will test shortly. Luckily they're both 12 volt fans. Now I need to isolate which of these wires I want to keep and which ones I want to cut. But how's that for bodgy? One wire into 2. They didn't have enough room on the board, obviously. Alright, so we've got a bit of chip chopping to do here, and a bit of insulating to do as well, so we'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, so I've removed any excess wiring I can actually get to. Some of these ground wires I couldn't get to without actually removing the fan speed controller board, which is powering both fans, and that would be why the fans don't spin at first startup. Oh, soldering iron hasn't been used for a bit, and I'm using my emergency solder, which is not the greatest of quality stuff, but everything else is in the vehicle. I'm also, after this weekend, I'm completely out of 5.5 2.1mm plugs, so I've got to use these screw-on ones, but they should still do the job. My apprentices come in to help too.
Huh? What's that waste there?
Ah, I've been seen. One moment. Alright, so most of this is done. Now, I know this looks like dodgy taping. The actual join is nicely taped. This tape is just to hold these ground wires in one location. It's not actually doing insulating, it's just holding them there. So yes, before you pick on me about my shoddy tape work, however, I'm kind of operating on a limited tool set here. So as I said, everything else is packed tightly away in the vehicle. Oh, this is a difficult screw. It's right down in the mains voltage side of things. Had a slight apprentice interruption there for a moment. Alright, so that's in. Now we need to plug our fans back in. There's one fan connector right there, and the other fan connector is right here, not that you can see through my hands. This has been insulated as best I can. This is our green wire to power everything up. It's our sense wire, or I actually need to look up on the spec sheet exactly what that wire is called. But that can tuck up out of the way. We have our two 12-volt lines here that we're going to hook up. Alright, so it's time to put the cover back on. Oh, and we need to swing this fan shroud back into position as well. Alright, that should be good. And we'll give this a bit of a load test in a moment. Alright, we'll put the screws on and we'll be back for load test. Okay, so now we have the fun bit, which is chopping these off. And now that I see the black stripe here, I'm just hoping that that's not, because it's an ATX supply, I'm hoping that is actually 12 volts and not some other fancy exotic voltage that for some reason I have not been aware of over the last like 15-20 years I've been doing this stuff. Actually, believe it or not, when I first started playing with computers, ATX power supplies were relatively new. ATs were the standard, and they had a live mains powered, or a mains voltage switch, not this low voltage stuff. I very much appreciate the low voltage options though. So yeah. So what is different about this solder? It's a 60/40 lead tin, but it's a 2.2%. Ah, that's Rosen core, not flux core. I usually use flux core. Rosen core is not my preference to work with. Doesn't seem to clean up contacts quite as well. Now I'm putting screw-on terminals on here, as you saw before, but I'm tinning these leads because I seem to find that that helps quite a bit when putting it into those plugs. The wires tend not to come back out again. You'll probably notice there's some big blobs of solder on that one. I will fix that in a moment, like right about now. I'll just pick that up on the iron. Most of that's going to get trimmed away anyway. In fact, I'll leave that like that because I'm going to trim all of that off. So we're going to trim on about 6mm on each one, or thereabouts. I'm usually reasonable about eyeballing that, and we'll just clean up that little bit there. Right, let's fit our plugs up. I've moved to what is hopefully a better angle to see me doing these, because I know often my hands obstruct the view when I'm doing intricate stuff like this. But this is going to a bloke that moves around a bit, so the ability to unscrew the plugs is probably going to be handy to him in a pinch. So yeah, especially at the moment there's not many places for him to go. Oh, that one is a little firm getting in there. I might not have unscrewed that all the way, but either way there is a knob of solder to stop that coming back out, so that's that one I had problems with. Right, there's our plugs are firmly attached. Now let's check voltage on them. 20 volt range with backlight and a load, and things are dragging, the cables are dragging everything off the bench, and my mystery blob of blue tack has gone missing. I have a hard time living without blue tack, if you haven't already seen in my videos. Now let's move everything. This is the setup you normally don't see. It's me struggling to get everything on the camera. So let's bring our camera around, face our multimeter there. We are plugged in. I don't see any fans spinning, but we've established that that's normal. And my setup is going to hell right now. Okay, let's check. Negative outer, positive inner. Right, so we have 11.6 volts. That's a little low, but I know once the load's on, that will come up. Let's check our other one, and we are still seeing 11.59. That should be enough to run a 12 volt TV, and it is running our test load as well. Okay, I think this is ready to go. So this is a quickie from the Aussie repair guy. We'll go and get this delivered because I think he's in need at the moment. Alright, so I went to drop off the power supply, and the immobiliser that we fixed yesterday is now not working. So I've got the shits and I'm grabbing the lead and I'm yanking everything out, and I'm hooking the ignition wires back up the way they're meant to be. We'll see if this works. Alright, so I'm leaving. We managed to get that immobiliser removed. He gave it to me as a trophy. I think I'm going to burn it. But yeah, I managed to remove it, reconnect the ignition as it originally was. And then we found he had a solenoid problem, or a connection to the solenoid at the starter underneath, which was his actual problem all along. The immobiliser wasn't actually the issue. But in any case, we found that, identified it, changed a few fuses. He can start and drive his car again, which means he can go back home if he needs to. So somebody else wanted a couple of things fixed here. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go back home and get some rest. Still having some troubles walking today, and that would be my come home message you guys just heard. So let's find this other guy. Well, I got sidetracked. The problem that I found is the TV was coming on and off because the internal socket was stuffed. So we're going to put a pigtail on it and sort this out, and then hopefully we'll make it. So the power plug is replaced. Replace this little thing with the field repair setup. Hopefully it'll work. Alright, so it's the end of day 3 of assisting people. Bushfire evacuees. It's about 10 o'clock and I've just got home. Today was a pretty bloody busy day. As you saw at the start of this video, I started off modifying a power supply. I dropped that off, ended up removing a I nearly tipped over my bottle of water on my bench. Ended up removing an immobiliser and got the car functioning from there, only to find out that he's got some start solenoid problems, but that's a little more fixable. Now, I think I ended up doing a computer repair. I found some mutual friends, or some people with mutual friends that had evacuated the fires. And yeah, I don't know, at the moment they might even borrow my camper because these mothers are having a bit of a hard time too. So we're going to give pretty well everything we can to help them out. I think I did a TV repair in the field. I had a look at an air conditioner, I think. Yeah, there's lots to do. I've lost track of everything I did. I took a few videos, as you've probably seen. But there's going to be more tomorrow. So I think I'll hold off releasing this video. You know what? Actually, I'm going to release this video tonight. And I'll do another one tomorrow. But yeah. So anyway, I hope you like this video. What can I say? There's not really anything happy about the situation that we're in. But we're making the best and we're helping everybody out as best we can. So yeah, I encourage others to assist if they can too. Anyway, I will see you in the next video. Hopefully we get some good news soon.